What if I told you that moving here from San Francisco would literally be 96% cheaper on the cost of living index?
I'm in your city tonight, and these lights make me feel so inspired.
Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm Austin Robertson, your Springfield and Branson relocation realtor at Brown & Robertson Real Estate with eXp Realty. Be sure to subscribe to our channel for everything Springfield and click that little bell so you never miss a video. Springfield is the third largest city in the great state of Missouri, and the metropolitan area reaches roughly 5 counties with a little over 450,000 people. The Queen City of the Ozarks is also the birthplace of Route 66, and we have a lot to offer. Our city hosts several universities like Missouri State University, Evangel University, and Drury University. We also have a lot of great attractions like the Wonders of Wildlife Aquarium by Bass Pro, the Springfield Cardinals, and our beautifully redone commercial street, which has incredible food and a lot of fun little shops. Several of the surrounding communities boast some of the top schools in the state, like Ozark, where my kids attend. Nixa is also one of the top, and then Willard and Republic are very well-known schools as well. So with all this and it being located dead in the center of the United States, it's probably a pretty expensive place to live, right? Well, no, actually, it's one of the cheapest places to live. In fact, there are only 4 other states that are cheaper than Missouri to live in. Those are Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Mississippi. I think it's really important to look at how these scores are calculated before moving much further. The cost of living index, in its simplest terms, is an estimated amount that represents the cost of basic necessities that are required for an individual or a family to live. The cost of living estimate will take into account things like housing, food, energy, medical care, transportation, taxes, and all other necessities. The comparison can provide guidance about how an increase or a decrease in these basic living expenses impacts necessary spending for an individual or a family. For the United States, everything across the board is at 100%, and then cities and states are positioned either above or below this line. Missouri rates at 89.1%, so a solid 10% cheaper than the national average. Springfield comes out at 88.6%, which is even below that state average. There were 6 cities in Missouri that participated in the Council for Community and Economic Research study. Out of the 6, our city placed dead in the middle, right at number 3. To compare Springfield versus the highest in our state, our city is 6% cheaper in living expenses, and that city, of course, would be Kansas City, Missouri. So all my analytical friends always get excited by this kind of data, but what does it really mean and how does it really affect you? Well, for example, if you lived in San Francisco, California, and you made $250,000 a year, and you moved to Springfield, Missouri, you would only need to make about $65,000 a year to maintain the same quality of living. Facts like this is making our area a lot more appealing to people as they continue to flood from the coast right in the middle of the country. Housing in Springfield, our housing is roughly 30% lower than the national average, with the average home around here costing between $170,000 and $180,000, and the median home price being just $240,000. Now real quick, let's just take a look at what $240,000 in Springfield can get you in 2021. Let's check out 3115 East Lark Street. This home is exactly $240,000. For that price, you're gonna get a great neighborhood, 3 bedrooms, 3 baths, a 2-car garage, and taxes are only $1,600 a year. Taxes in Springfield are very cheap when it comes to homes. Now, certain areas do climb in taxes, especially when you work your way out towards Christian County. Taxes in Ozark or Nixa, for example, on the same property are typically going to be a little higher than in the inner city of Springfield. Now, you might be thinking, well, I'm a renter. That's great. We have a large portion of people that rent. Some studies have shown that as of 2021, there were well over 30% of the residents in Springfield who rented. In 2020, the median rent was $761. Now, again, this is completely dependent on where you do choose to rent. You have to also take into account that those taxes are passed on to renters. And when there's an increase in taxes, typically a homeowner will then increase the rate of the rent. Reports show that Springfield is 1% lower than the national average when it comes to utility costs. The average residential energy bill as of 2020 came out to $166 and a little bit of change. Now, I do have to tell you that I feel like I might have to challenge these facts here. Even in the best months, of course, I do have 5 children. My bills were quite a bit higher than that. But regardless, if you do look into the year-end report for city utilities, which provides services for all of Springfield's utilities, they're actually cheaper than both the national and even our state average. Transportation is one that people often look to when it comes to moving from a different area to another. Well, we're cheaper here too. If you're moving from a bigger city, you're probably used to public transportation. I will tell you this is probably a weakness in our local area. The city of Springfield does have 34 buses that run in transit at any time, and they do carry about 1.2 million people per year. We also do have things like taxis, Ubers, and Lyft, but most of us here drive our own personal vehicles. Personal vehicles are accounted for when looking at cost of living, but driving your own vehicle requires upkeep and fuel. But over the recent past, Missouri has stayed well below the national average again on fuel cost. Actually, a while back, CNN Business wrote an article that called Springfield the capital of cheap gas. At the time of the writing, fuel here was $1.99 versus Dallas about 6 hours south at $2.39, and LA at the time was $3.25, for a little bit of perspective of how we look versus the rest of the country. I think one more important factor for people to look at when moving to a new city is childcare. It is definitely difficult to exactly predict the cost of childcare in any city, but for a lot of parents, this is one major expense. There are a lot of variables that go into childcare. There are different arrangements, lengths of time that are needed to care for a child, different ages. Costs vary depending on the different types of services that are provided. But based on the state average for Springfield, childcare for a child up to 3 years old could cost as much as $8,632 per year. Missouri itself is ranked number 34 in annual cost of childcare in the United States. So again, we're doing really well in that area too. So we know the cost, but what does a family make here? With the cost of living being so much cheaper, working wages are a lot lower as well. Average hourly rate, according to several websites, showed that the average hourly rate is just a little over $15 an hour, and average yearly income was $36,856. Missouri incomes are so low that making just over $300,000 actually puts you in the top 1% of our entire state. There is a large spread here though. Middle class jobs range anywhere from $20,000 to $95,000. Economically, this could be good. It could show there's a large opportunity for advancement in several fields. So let's put this all together now. Housing is cheap, transportation is cheap, childcare is cheap, and the salary matches to level it all out. This is a very balanced place to live. Overall, our city is a kind and caring community. It's easy to live here, and you can build a life on working wages in Springfield, Missouri. We would love to help you relocate to our city, show you around, help you find your home, and start fresh in Missouri. I have my number, website, and a link down below in the description that will show you all of the current listings in our area. Again, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you again next time.